What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about a game that I really want to try. It's 1960s Bally Touchdown. Touchdown is a magic numbers bingo. This is a new feature that we haven't talked about previously. But before we get into that, a bingo pinball machine is a multi-coin pinball machine. You put in your first coin and the game starts, but at that point you can put in additional coins to try and light features, odds, or both. In this case, you can do it through player-controlled buttons on the front of the game called Pic-a-play. Before you insert your coin, you push either the red button to play for both features and odds increases, the blue button to play for only odds increases, or the green button to play for only features increases. The difference between them is, and the reason that you don't just press the red button, is that you get extra jumps and a greater chance of actually earning the feature or odds jumps that you want by playing the blue or green buttons. So, magic numbers, what are they? Well, at this point, you should be well acquainted with magic squares. We've been over many of the magic squares games. In fact, there's only one other one that we haven't talked about. Magic numbers are sets of 6 numbers that can rotate. Magic squares are simply sets of 4 numbers. But magic numbers are arranged in a rectangle, 3 by 2, typically. And there are 4 of these arrangements on the Backglass. This allows you to move 24 of the 25 numbers on the bingo card at a whim. Well, you have to press a button. But the beautiful thing about this game is that the only number that can't be moved is the number 16. And the number 16 can be randomly spotted. And so, with that, it's possible for you to sink a ball and rotate it around to get in a more favorable position. So, what do I mean by more favorable? Well, obviously, need to have the numbers adjacent to each other in order to score. This is not a magic screen game. There is no separate screen with different sections that comes across in front of the bingo card, and therefore you have to play straight up bingo. You have to have numbers which are adjacent to each other. This game has triple deck scoring. That means that on the Backglass there are separate lines which are either red, green, or yellow. And there are corresponding odds steppers in the back box, which will step up and display a different set of odds for each color: red, yellow, and green. Each of these sets has 3 different numbers. They start off at 4 for 3 in a row, 16 for 4 in a row, and 75 for 5 in a row. Go all the way up to 192 for 3 in a row, 480 for 4 in a row, and 600 for 5 in a row. This game has an extended time tree. By default, if you earn the magic numbers features, you have to make your decision before shooting your 4th ball. But the game can randomly award you before 5th or even after 5th. After 5th is, of course, the most desirable because you can rotate the numbers around so that you earn in multiple colors. Very handy. This game also has a feature called the star numbers. there are 4 numbers in the bottom right corner of the bingo card, and if you land a ball or move letter C to reposition the numbers so that you have all 4 stars lit and you have the feature lit, you'll earn a red 5 in a line score. That is pretty helpful. This game has extra balls. After you shoot your normal 5-ball game, you have the chance to play for extra balls by paying in more money or using some of the replays that you've earned. This game also has star rollovers. These will randomly light either yellow or red. The yellow rollover is on the left-hand side of the playfield. And if you roll over that while it's lit, it will extend your time tree to before 5th. And similarly, there is a red rollover on the right-hand side of the playfield. If you roll over this while it's lit, it will extend your time tree to after 5th. So, let's talk about artwork. Touchdown is one of the very few sports-themed bingos. There's this and Doubleheader, and honestly, I can't think of any other sports-themed bingo. Now, that doesn't bother me too much because I'm not really a sports person. But there are plenty of sports people in the world, and I know that this type of theme appeals greatly to those folks who are really into sports. Especially football in this case, because it is called Touchdown. So, the theme is football. On the Backglass, we're in the stands on one side of the stadium, and in front of us are cheerleaders trying to get everybody amped up, and we can see the field. And we're somewhere near the center of the field. That's where our seats are. And we can see the game being played out. I guess there's a person holding the football, which I want to say is a quarterback, but I really don't know anything about football, so I'm just going to say that because I know that typically they have a ball in there trying to throw it. Pardon my ignorance. We can see the team sitting on the bench in front of us, and the opposing team on the bench in the background. In the far background, we can see the other side of the stadium, and it's packed. I mean, just packed. I don't know if this is a professional football team or a college football team, but boy, they know how to draw in a crowd. And in the far distance, we can see trees covered with autumn leaves. Colors of oranges and reds. Quite beautiful. And then you have the blue sky, beautiful clouds, and towering above, coming out of the bingo card, you have a pennant that says Bally Touchdown. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Now, let's talk about the cabinet. The cabinet stencil is rather drab on this. It's essentially just a football and a couple of rounded squares of red. This football is repeated on the lower cab as it is on the head. It's okay. It's just not super impressive. There's not a whole lot of detail. It's not like you can see the stadium crowd in the stencil or anything like that. But the Backglass and the Playfield are both gorgeous. I mean, really, really beautiful. So it's okay that the cabinet's a little lackluster. You know, who sits and stares at the cabinet anyway? Okay, I do sometimes. But the Playfield. At this point, on the Playfield, we're down on the field. And we're right in front of the cheerleaders. And there are cheerleaders jumping around and doing a dance and, you know, trying to get everybody riled up. Further out on the field, we can see the same game playing out. But we must be on the other side of the stadium. We must be on the opposing team now. And looking across, we can see the same packed stadium that we saw on the other side. I mean, really packed. I don't think there's a single empty seat in this entire stadium, and it's huge. Beyond that, we can see a clock tower. And so I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is a college football game. And as I say, I really don't know anything about football, so I can't gauge the popularity of such a thing, but boy, it appears that everyone at both schools is in attendance. So, this is a wonderfully beautiful game on the Playfield and the Backglass with a great feature set that I'm looking forward to getting to know at some point in the not too distant future. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com, at which you can buy your very own t-shirt. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.